And so I like to get people, part of our growth has been to hire within the company and usually referrals of people who've been working within the company. I find that strategy works better than anything because we have created a culture, and I know that's people throw that word around a lot, so I'm sure we'll talk about culture, but to me that was very important. And especially when you're building a remote company, it's extremely hard to build culture because you are doing Zoom or you're not in an office and you're not around people all the time. So I think when we can build in areas where people can get together easier and you can do coffee, you can get together, it absolutely helps with the culture of our business. But right now, everyone is at home. We've never had brick and mortar. And we do our Zoom calls once, every 2 weeks. We have our entire team on our Zoom calls. Our departments do their weekly meetings, sometimes more than once a week, just to make sure we're all on the same page and heading in the right direction.
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow?
Today we're going to talk about thriving remote cultures. When you have a remote culture, you want to make sure it works for you, that people are working and that you have the right systems and everything in place. And today we have a very special guest that's going to share with you his systems and his strategies for keeping the culture aligned and creating a thriving remote culture. We're speaking with the CEO of OptSpot. They are a strategic marketing partner for car washes, and you've probably gone up to a car wash before and it gave you a pretty good size price for the car wash, or you could buy a membership. Well, they help car washes create the kind of business they want through the marketing of that. It's a lot more explanation than you need, but I think it's kind of fascinating that they're very specialized like that. But we and I spoke with Levi McClendon. Levi and I really kind of clicked on this remote culture, and creating that thriving remote culture is by intention. It doesn't just happen. It doesn't happen because you want it to. You have to put the structure in place. And there's a lot of elements to it. So we go through some of those today. And we talk about the dream manager, how that plays a role inside of his culture. We also talk about where he gets his best employees. Hint, it is from other employees because they love working there. And he also helps his clients reach a level of freedom. And he's also trying to do that for his employees, which I really think it's an incredible aligned purpose. And all these things work together to create that thriving remote culture. My name is Gene Hammett. I'm an CEO coach. We do executive coaching. We do manager coaching as well. What I'm most known for is helping any organization that's got a big opportunity on the horizon. And if you are really working to create the kind of business of your dream, you've got to step up as a leader. You have to continue to evolve. And a lot of people don't know what that is. And if I asked you the question, how do you need to evolve to be the leader that your company deserves? You probably wouldn't be able to answer that very well, or it would be a rambling mess. And it's really hard to execute on a rambling mess. What if we sat down together for free and talked about who you're going to be as the leader of the company for the next phase? Because you have to be that leader to attract the right talent. You have to be that leader to drive results. You might even have some headwinds ahead of you. You have to be the leader that will bring all of that together and drive that forward. Well, there's some things that are getting in the way. There's some blind spots that people just aren't aware of. And so I offer my services to you to build a relationship. I promise not to sell you. I promise to give you a plan that is prioritized and very, very clear and executable. That is worth millions probably, because a lot of people just don't take the time to slow down enough to do it. So if you're curious about what that is, send me an email, gene@genehammett.com. We do this absolutely for free for you. And so if you're listening to this, just tell me you heard it on the podcast and you get it for free. And inside that conversation, you will get crystal clear on who you are being that's getting in the way of your growth, but who you need to become to really take it to that next level. Just send me an email, gene@genehammett.com. Now, here's the interview with Levi. Hi, Levi. How are you?
I'm doing well, Gene. How about yourself?
Fantastic. Excited about today's conversation / interview, get to know you. Levi, I know that you've got tremendous success in your background with OptSpot. Tell us about what OptSpot is and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are a strategic marketing partner for car washes. Mainly in North America, the US, and some in Canada. And we're basically an agency that's like a partner, a done with you model that helps car wash owners. We kind of, I would say our target market is somebody that owns, 1 to 5 washes that
Hmm.
can't frankly afford to go hire, director of marketing or coordinators. And so we come in and really partner with you and offer a full service from, digital marketing to websites. SMS marketing is our foundation. I've been doing that about 17 years. So that's really the glue that holds everything together. So we build out our campaigns, we automate everything we do, and we just come alongside our owners and help them, live our whole mission is to help them live their life for freedom. And so we feel like we can take some of those things off their plate to bring in new traffic to the car washes where they can, get more retail washes and convert them to members. As you probably see these express washes popping up all over the place. You can't really go anywhere now without seeing them, but their whole goal is to get memberships, and then we help them get members and keep them longer. So it's pretty much our strategy.
I don't know the list of customers you work with, but I am a member for my
Okay.
car. My wife, I pay individually for hers because I'm not always in her car, so I'm not always doing it, and she doesn't do it. But I respect the marketing of it. I look at it and I go, the price per one wash really makes you want to do the membership no matter where you are. And I know it's all built in patterns and looking at human psychology.
Yes.
Do you see shifts in this happening over the next 3 to 5 years?
I really don't. As far as I think because I've been doing this now about 5 years in this space, when you say shifts, for me, it's been increasing the number of memberships and those being obviously uh, really, what do you want to say? Oh, what am I looking for? I think like in the Northeast, there's not a lot of washes. So now that they have express washes, people are starting to see them and understand them. And before nobody's going to vacuum my car. Nobody's going to, do the things I have to get out of my car. So they're not understanding what that is. But now I think just in the last 5 years to see that growth, people are being exposed. That's what I was looking for. They've
Yeah.
been exposed to this model, this express wash. And because of COVID, right during COVID, a lot of the full service had shut down. And so a lot of them are now starting to convert to express because people didn't have to get out of their cars. Well, the owners of these full service washes were like, hey, less employees, right? Less overhead. We're making probably as much money or more money. And so I've seen this, growth in the last 5 years just be incredible. And I don't see it changing. I think there's plenty of business out there. There's still a lot of opportunity for people to grow. And I see it continuing to increase for several years.
I've always said, and I actually gave a speech about this because I used to only work with agencies in the marketing world. I didn't share that with you before the pre-call, but I've always said be the choice, not a choice. And I'm sure you've got some competition, but when you say I understand car, express washes, and you understand memberships, and you understand SMS, and you understand what works, and you're not trying to figure it out like a lot of agencies, on their dollar, they're doing a lot of R&D. You're coming in with plans and strategies that work and you just plug them in. I think it's smart as heck. And I'm really excited to have a conversation, not about the business so much, but about how you've created the team and the culture behind your success. So let's dive into that, Levi. When we did research in order to bring on anyone on the show, I've said this many times, like we get pitched 20 times a day, sometimes more, and we rarely ever take any of those pitches, but we do love to curate people who have something interesting. And you have a completely remote culture. Tell us a little bit about the structure of your company, just so we get to tune in to where you are now.
Yeah, absolutely. We are absolute, like you said, we're 100% remote. I'm from Arizona, so originally that's where we launched our company. So a lot of our team is in Arizona, and then several, I would say, Arizona, Texas, and Florida, because I'm now in the Panhandle in Santa Rosa Beach. And so I like to get people, part of our growth has been to hire within the company, and usually referrals of people who've been working within the company. I find that strategy works better than anything because we have created a culture. And I know that's people throw that word around a lot. So I'm sure we'll talk about culture. But to me, that was very important. And especially when you're building a remote company, it's extremely hard to build culture because you are doing Zoom, or you're not in an office and you're not around people all the time. So I think when we can build in areas where people can get together easier and you can do coffee, you can get together, it absolutely helps with the culture of our business. But right now, everyone is at home. We've never had brick and mortar. And we do our Zoom calls once, every 2 weeks. We have our entire team on our Zoom calls. Our departments do their weekly meetings, sometimes more than once a week, just to make sure we're all on the same page and heading in the right direction.
When you set out to do this, did you think about culture or did you just set out to solve a problem for your customers?
Great question. When we first started doing this, and I'll back up, prior to car washing, I owned a mortgage company for 7 years. 2007, 2008 hits, right? And
Okay.
I lose it all. Well, during that time, I had 2 offices, 20 loan officers. Things were killing it, right? We were doing really well. And pretty much overnight, we really, lost it all. But you asked me before if I had people problems. And I would say the one thing that was probably the most challenging during that time were the people. And so when I left, it kind of got, went through bankruptcy, went through divorce. I basically went through hell. It was a really difficult time in my life. But bouncing back and getting into the space that I'm in now, it was just me for the first year. And and I hired one other person for 7 years. It was just the two of us. And the reason is because of my prior experience with people. And
Mhm.
so for me, I was like, I don't need the drama. I don't need the people. I'm just going to build my, this business. Just and it happened to be my brother-in-law. He's still with us today, 12 years with us as our COO. He's awesome. But at the time I was like, I don't want to do this. Well, as we pivoted from the restaurant space is where we got into the SMS marketing and got into the car wash space in 2019, right before COVID, right? Then COVID hits, and that's a whole story in itself. We started really growing. And as we put together this, you talk about a model, we put together a framework that, having those people problems early on, starting OptSpot, it was just, I didn't really want the drama more than anything. I feel like, so I just wanted to grow my business without people. But as we started getting busy in the space, we just needed more people. I personally, Gene, have 10 children. Well, so that's a whole nother ball game. We're blended. I have two older kids. My wife had sextuplets. That's a whole nother story. Then we had two together. So the reason I tell you that, and my tuplets they were 4 years old when I married my wife. They're now 17. So I grew a company and raised a big family at the same time. And so one of the ways that I would, as far as being a parent, I don't like fighting. I don't like the drama. And so for me, in my own life, it was like you work hard, but we like to play hard and there's no drama. And that really rang true in my own business. And I said, you know what, our culture, as we continue to grow, I don't want the drama. I want people that I don't have to babysit. When you're working remotely, you can't babysit them. And I didn't want people that I'd have to track their time. So we really adopted this culture of work hard, play hard, no drama. And those are our core values today. And so as we started hiring people, again, it was like, hey, if you want to work from home, if I don't have to babysit you, I want you to work hard, but we're also big believers in playing hard. And playing hard is, hey, you get to work remote. I'm into, as you can tell, I have the tonal there. I'm into taking care of yourself. So make sure you're getting to the gym. My wife and I travel, even with all of our kids, all over the place, all over the country, all over the world. And we've never made that excuse that we have too many kids or we don't have enough money. We didn't have the money in the beginning. We just made it happen. And so it's like, there's a balance. And we all talk about, the balance, right? Work-life balance. But we really were intentional. And so it was like, that is the culture I knew I wanted to bring on as we continue to grow is I don't want to babysit. So work hard, work your butt off. We'll know whether you're getting your job done. But make sure you're taking care of yourself and then no drama. Like I don't have time for the drama. So anyway, that was really important. And that became really the overall, when I hire somebody, do you fit that mold? If we fire people, it's because they don't fit the core values of who we are as a company. And so that to me became early on who we became as a company. Now, the culture of those people, what that did is it created for me, it's more about the people. I don't even wash my car. Like I don't have a membership. I'm not even joking. to me, it wasn't about doing mortgages. It's not about the car washing. I happen to get in an industry that is phenomenal, and it's all about the people. Like, I absolutely love the owners that I work with because they are also making a difference in the people's lives and their employees. This is a career option. A lot of these owners, Gene, you ought to get to know them. They're amazing. They literally are building washes so that they can develop people. And I'm not just saying that. It is really neat. So for me coming into it, we've come in and now our mission, our purpose is to help people live their life of freedom. I think I mentioned that earlier. And so in doing so, we happen to just pull in the marketing to say, hey, we're going to help you, Mr. Car Wash owner. We go into business for ourselves so that we actually have freedom of time, money, relationships, and purpose. Well, you get into business and you end up creating yourself a really nice job, but you haven't created a business. And so our framework now, we're able to come in and say, hey, we actually get to help you do that. But what I realized is I was helping them, but not my own employees. And I was like, wait a minute, I want my own employees to live their life of freedom if they're going to help other people. It's not fair for me to ask that of them and say, hey, you need to have, we're out there helping everybody else. So I'm like, no, what can I do to help my own people live their life of freedom? And that's when we started digging into, we'll get to it in a minute, but I started digging into other, financial resources and the Dream Manager program. And, you talk about culture, we do the culture index. So we're very, very intentional about the people that work for us and about helping them live their life of freedom so that we can then turn around and help other people live it.
Now, Levi just talked about people problems. I'm wondering if you have any people problems right now. Do you have anyone who has got a bad attitude, who's not performing at the level you need them to, or you're not even sure if they're a fit for the culture? All of those are examples of people problems, and there's many, many more. Everything that you think about in your business, a lack of profits and revenue, process problems or product problems, all come back to people. Now, I say this because I want you to understand the importance of addressing this and being the best leader you can be. And one way you can do that is I have a book that I've written with my wife. So reach back to get a copy of it, show it on the video, How to Have Tough Conversations. If you haven't already picked up the book, I get conversations almost every day of people saying how important it is for this, and they want to share it with their executive team. So if you have people problems, the best way to address it is through tough conversations, and I've written the book about it. How to Have Tough Conversations is wherever you buy books online. Now, back to Levi. So much to unpack in there. And
I know.
one of the things I want to just, for our listener here is creating a thriving remote culture sometimes feels like impossible because a lot of people are frustrated. They think it just won't work. I know it will because my company's completely, remote. Other than my wife, we live together. And what would we see? Like from a tactical standpoint, you mentioned the Zoom call twice a week. You see a team call that might be once a week in the Zoom. What are some of the other things that we would see across your company that create the thriving remote culture?
So as far as systems, one thing we did in the last year and a half is implemented EOS, so Entrepreneurial Operating System.
Okay.
And so I would say for a standpoint of an actual system that keeps us accountable and keeps, I would say, the train moving forward in the right direction. And that has been huge for us because here's the thing, without having a system and without clear objectives, then people aren't they don't feel like they're part of something. They don't feel like they're on the same page. And I would say in the last year and a half, we've been more on the same page than we ever have because I brought in, an implementer of EOS, and we've taken that from the top, from our C-suite, and then we have cascaded that to everybody in our company. And when we come in with very clear objectives and very clear goals and a clear purpose and vision, that has gotten everybody else on the same page. I think if we just offered a position that is remote and, hey, you're just going to help people, do marketing and help them in their car wash, I don't think we would have the people and the team that we have today. I think we've lost 2 people in the last, 3 or 4 years ever, and we continue to grow. And we have a waiting list of people who want to work here, but I think it's because of clear objectives, having a vision bigger than ourselves, right? This whole vision of helping people live their life of freedom and implementing things, again, like I said, the Dream Manager program, that's what you see. You see people that actually care, even on these meetings. We have a Slack channel that is, adventures, like we promote, go somewhere and share pictures. like, where are you at? Because it's not allowed, oh, you're not getting your work. Nobody thinks you're not getting your work done, right? And that's where I think that freedom for them comes in. And then I don't have to ask them to work. They just work because they want to, because there's freedom in that. So I think those are, I don't know if I answered your question exactly the way that you asked it, but hopefully that helps.
It's a good start. I know there's probably more things that you guys do. One thing you didn't mention, and I'm just kind of curious, you've got direct reports. Not every 31 people report to you. So are you meeting with your direct reports once a week, once every 2 weeks?
Yeah, so with the EOS, we do what's called an L10 meeting, level 10, and we do it every single Tuesday. So me, our CMO, CTO, and COO meet every Tuesday. And unless somebody's on a vacation or sick, that is a mandatory meeting. And it usually runs an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on all the things that we cover. We cover, all the obviously important, the rocks and the different tasks and to-dos, but that really keeps us on track. So that's the only meeting that I have with everybody. Then I have a one-on-one personally with my COO, and he's also what's called an integrator. And so with EOS, I am the visionary now. So I kind of had to step out of the CEO role. I'm still the CEO, but I'm more of the visionary. And I'll tell you, Gene, stepping out of the day-to-day and in the trenches, and I still get into them a little bit because I have to, because it's my nature. But that was a really difficult thing for me to step back. But it's been the best thing for my company because it's allowed my team to actually have autonomy. They have more confidence. They're able to move the ball forward, and I don't have to be always the one doing it. So me stepping out of the way has been huge. But so I do a one-on-one with my integrator, same once a week, and I do it on Tuesdays. Those teams then, so my COO will then have his meeting with his direct reports once a week as well. And my CMO will do once a week. They all do L10 meetings. And so it all trickles down based off the main goals. And we break them down quarterly. So we have quarterly rocks, and those get worked on by each department. And we have a digital marketing department. We have a website department. We have a support department, and we have an onboarding department, and then the marketing. So we have several different, departments, and once a week, those people are meeting with their direct reports.
Now, Levi also talked about being the visionary in his business and really stepping out of the way to take another level of leadership. Now, this is something I've talked about quite a bit with my clients. I've put it on the show before. I've got a triangle called the 5 levels of leadership. I won't unpack it here today, but if you're curious about what the 5 levels are, you can find it online. Google my name, Gene Hammett, and the 5 levels of leadership, or you can just send me an email, and I'm happy to share with you a free little training, free little tool that you can use to figure out where you are right now, your level of leadership, and it will be incredibly helpful to help you move forward. And I'd give it to you for free. Just send me an email, gene@genehammett.com, or Google me, and you can find some resources around the 5 levels of leadership. Back to Levi. One thing I'm curious about, you mentioned a couple of times the Dream Manager. What is that?
So Dream Manager is a program that I can't remember who actually came up with this, but a book was written. It's called The Dream Manager, and it was really about helping your employees with actually fulfilling their dreams. And if you actually, as the owner, are invested in your employees' dreams and what they want to accomplish, then they actually feel more obviously seen and heard and loved. And that is important to me. I am a huge people person. You talked about the book that you had. I hand out more books. You'll see, well, you don't see them all in the background here, but I love when I find something really good, just like on the tonal or a book or whatever it is, I love to help other people. I love to be able to hand that out to them. And so, and help them, exceed in life. And so for me, with our employees, I want to see them excel. We also have a Slack channel called OptSpot Fit. And for those people that are trying to, lose weight, gain muscle, drop body fat, whatever that is, eat right. We all engage in that and we help each other out. So to me, the Dream Manager program, when I heard about it, I ended up, you actually get certified and stuff. It's pretty cool. So I hired a person to go to somewhere South Florida, and it's a 2-day seminar. You get certified. I think it's about 10 grand. You get certified, and then they give you all the tools. They give you binders and stuff, and they give you tools to roll this out for your employees. And it's all voluntary. And so we've had, a dozen of our employees that wanted to enroll in it. And now it's a monthly meeting that they meet with the Dream Manager that I've hired now. to review their goals. And so it's a year-long program, and we're about, we launched it in January. So we're 3 months into it now, and the response that I've had so far has been very, very good.
I've seen similar things. I've helped clients with similar stuff, and I remind leaders all the time, you've got to care about what the employee cares about. It's like your kids. You can't get them to watch the sports game with you. You got to watch what they want to watch. But I want to wrap up today's conversation with tuning into your leadership principles. I know you talked about the values and running the EOS system, but what about leadership has made you the successful company that you are today?
Well, I think that in any company, it starts at the top and it cascades from there. And it's just like being a manager, right, of a baseball, professional, any professional team. I don't care how the team is, if the team is doing well, then the coach gets the credit, the manager gets credit. If they don't do well, then they're the ones too. Everything always trickles down and it always points back to the top. And I always feel like as a leader, I take responsibility for the good and the bad. It does not matter. Like it comes back to me. And I think because of the actual me living out the work hard, play hard, no drama to start, and actually caring about our employees and caring about our clients, it's not just lip service. You'll see, if you saw, Gene, us interact with our customers, it's real. We don't shake hands, we hug. And so when we go to, there's these big car wash conventions, there's several of them, maybe 4 a year that we go to. We hold our own big, and this is part of our culture too. We hold a Freedom Summit. It'll be our 4th year. We'll go to Cabo this year. Our entire team comes, spouses come, and then we invite our clients. We usually get about 50 to 75 customers. And it's not just us giving them marketing content. It is hanging out. It is getting to know each other. It's praying with them. It's talking with them. It is just becoming family. And so that has been ingrained in our culture from day one, is that we actually, and I truly have amazing conversations. Like I said, I've prayed with more guys on the phone, more of my customers, because I really care about who they are and their families and what they're doing. So that part of leadership to me, it's lead by example, not, do what I tell you to do, just do what I do. That cascading effect, I feel like it's so important. And it's who you hire, man. It is people. And it's get the right people on the seats, right? Get them in the right seats. And I have my CMO, Josh. He's a StoryBrand certified guide with Don Miller. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's out of Nashville, amazing author, great guy. Josh, 5-year certified guide, cares about people, loves what he does. Anyway, I could go on and on about him. My COO, same thing. These are loving, family, amazing people. And because I have them, they've now cascaded that to their departments. And I could go on and on about my people. And it ultimately, I know people talk a lot about it, but I would not be where I am at today without the team. But it starts at the top.
That's a great way to end today's conversation. I really appreciate your wisdom. And we've been talking about leading a remote thriving culture, or a thriving remote culture is the right words. Really appreciate your insights today.
Awesome. Thank you, Gene. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Wow, what a great interview. I love how he unpacked a lot of the tacticals and strategies of building a thriving remote culture. If you want to lead a thriving remote culture, you want to make sure that you are the best leader you can be. If I can help you in any way, make sure you reach out to me, gene@genehammett.com. When you think of growth, when you think of leadership, think of Growth Think Tank. As always, be encouraged. We'll see you next time.